In the heart of Central Africa, before maps were drawn by foreign hands, there was a kingdom called Ndongo. In that kingdom, sometime around 1583, a girl was born, fierce-eyed, curious, and impossibly intelligent. Her name was Nzinga Mbande, and though no one knew it yet, she would grow to become one of the greatest rulers Africa had ever seen. Nzinga was born into royalty, the daughter of King Kaluanji Kiasamba, a proud and shrewd ruler who tried to hold his kingdom together as the Portuguese crept inland from the coast. They came, first, as traders, then, as conquerors, but in her father's court, life still carried its rhythm, the smell of burning wood, the sound of drums echoing through the valley, warriors sharpening spears. And in the center of it all, King Kaluanji taught his daughter how to think like a ruler. While other girls learned to serve, Nzinga learned to speak, and to speak well. She sat quietly beside her father during meetings, listening as he debated with chiefs and emissaries. Sometimes, when he paused, he would ask, "What would you do, my daughter?" And Nzinga would answer. She was clever, precise, and already unafraid of power. The two were close, father and daughter bound by intellect and admiration. He saw in her something rare, and he treated her as more than a child. She was his student in the art of rule. But the world outside their palace was changing fast. By the late 1500s, Portuguese soldiers had begun enslaving thousands of Mbundu people, forcing them into ships bound for Brazil. War was constant, villages burned, King Kaluanji fought back, but the tide was turning. When Nzinga was still young, her father died, most likely killed in one of those bitter wars against Portuguese allies. His death shattered her world. And when the dust settled, the crown passed to her brother, Mbande Angola. Nzinga expected to serve her brother as she had served her father, with loyalty. But the court was different now. Mbande was paranoid, insecure, and haunted by the fear that his brilliant sister might outshine him. According to Portuguese records and Jesuit reports, he ordered the death of her son, and banished her from the royal court. Just like that, Nzinga, the king's daughter, the court's prodigy, was cast out. She lived in exile for years, watching from afar as the kingdom her father had built crumbled under foreign rule. It was a lonely, painful time, but it forged her. She learned patience, silence, and the art of waiting for the right moment to strike. By 1621, Ndongo was in crisis. The Portuguese, now allied with ruthless Mbangala mercenaries, were enslaving whole communities. King Mban's armies were collapsing. His people were scattered, and in desperation, he sent word for his exiled sister to return. It must have been strange, being summoned by the same man who had destroyed her peace. But Nzinga came, not out of loyalty to him, but for her people. In 1622, she traveled to Luanda, the Portuguese capital. Imagine it, stone fortresses, cannons, foreign banners flying in the wind. A single African woman walking into a room full of European officers and priests. The Portuguese governor refused to offer her a chair. It was a calculated insult, meant to make her stand while he sat, a reminder that they saw her as beneath them. Nzinga paused, looked around the room, and without a word, called one of her attendants forward. The woman knelt, and Nzinga sat on her back, calm, regal, unbothered. Now, she and the governor were eye to eye. That moment, recorded by both Portuguese and African sources, defined her forever. She wasn't there to plead. She was there to negotiate. Nzinga spoke fluently in Portuguese, argued with precision, and refused every attempt at manipulation. By the end of that meeting, she had secured a peace treaty, freedom for some of her people, and recognition of her brother's rule. It was a triumph of diplomacy, a battle fought with words, not weapons. But peace didn't last. Soon after, the Portuguese broke the treaty. King Mbande, broken and humiliated, died in 1624, possibly by suicide. And once again, the throne was empty. Some nobles wanted a man to lead. But Nzinga, who had negotiated peace, who had spoken as an equal to foreign powers, refused to stand aside. She became queen of Ndongo. The Portuguese mocked her, calling her the woman who thinks she's a king. Her people, however, call her Angola Nzinga, the protector. The Portuguese immediately moved to crush her rule. They attacked Ndongo, forcing Nzinga to flee the capital and take refuge on an island in the Kwanza River. But exile was nothing new to her. She'd learned how to survive it. From there, she rebuilt her army, gathering escaped slaves, refugees, and even defectors from enemy tribes. She told them, "If you fight with me, you fight for your freedom." And they believed her. For years, she waged guerrilla war, striking Portuguese forts and ambushing convoys. She became a shadow in the forests, a queen they couldn't capture, a symbol they couldn't kill. In 1631, Nzinga made a bold move eastward and seized the kingdom of Matamba, establishing it as her new capital. From there, she ruled for the next 3 decades. Matamba flourished under her leadership. She reorganized the army, opened trade routes, and played European powers against each other, especially the Dutch, who had invaded parts of Angola and were eager to weaken Portugal. Nzinga allied with them. She used their weapons, intelligence, and ships to reclaim lost lands. For a few glorious years in the 1640s, she even controlled much of Ndongo again. But when the Dutch were defeated and expelled in 1648, Nzinga found herself alone once more, facing a powerful enemy with no allies. Still, she didn't surrender. By the 1650s, Queen Nzinga was in her 70s, an age few rulers, or even soldiers, lived to see. But her mind remained sharp, her resolve unbroken. After decades of war, she chose a different path, peace. In 1657, she signed a treaty with the Portuguese, this time as equals. They recognized her as the sovereign ruler of Matamba, allowed her to reopen trade, and even respected her religious conversion. Nzinga spent her final years rebuilding her kingdom, restoring farmland, welcoming back captives, and strengthening ties with the church, partly to protect her people from further invasion. Even in her final decade, she led council meetings herself. Those who met her described a woman who commanded respect with silence alone. Not because of fear, but because of the history written in her eyes. She died in 1663, around 80 years old, after more than 40 years of rule. A lifetime of survival, resistance, and brilliance. When Queen Nzinga died, the Portuguese expected Matamba to collapse. It didn't. Her successors continued her policies for nearly a century after her death. She had built a foundation that no empire could erase. Centuries later, during Angola's war for independence, her name rose again, shouted in the streets, painted on banners, carried by women who fought for the freedom she'd once defended. Today, her statue stands in Luanda, facing the ocean, facing the world that once tried to claim her land and her people. Her face is calm, her posture proud. She never bowed to anyone. And that's how she's remembered, not as myth, not as symbol, but as truth. Queen Nzinga, the woman who refused to kneel.